But right now, Charles Sauer is on the line with us, a libertarian economist and president of the Market Institute. MarketInstitute.org is the website. He's also the author of a book that's worthy of your consideration. It's titled Profit Motive: What Drives the Things We Do. MarketInstitute.org is the website. Charles Sauer, Sauer, is his Twitter handle. Charles, welcome back. So my question to you as a libertarian who doesn't generally believe in the government spending money on anything other than, police and courts and armies, is how does the free market supply infrastructure? Obviously, I put this in the context of, Joe Biden's proposing a couple of $1 trillion to rebuild America. How does your mythical free market do this?
Well, I think first off, we need to take Joe Biden's plan and kind of divide it out into chunks, right? I think only about 6% of the plan deals with what we would traditionally call infrastructure, as in roads and highways and maybe even the electrical grid and, water and that sort of thing. So if we're talking about that, I might actually have a surprising answer for you today. And I hosted an event, what would be about 15 years ago now, called The Right Size of Government. And in that event, we had people that proposed anywhere from 5% of GDP to 30% of GDP as being the right size of government. But there was a large agreement around that 18 to 20% rate for being the right size of government for our GDP. And one of those people that came in there was...
Charles, if I could just interrupt you real quickly, I need you to get closer to your microphone. It sounds like you're talking to us from the bathroom here, speakerphone or what. I can't see what you're doing because I'm doing the show remotely, but if you can get your mouth closer to a microphone, that'd be a great thing.
I'll switch over to my phone for you. How about that?
Thank you. Bless you.
So what we have
15 to 20%, and we're at about 20% right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're right around that mark. I mean, if you looked, I mean, there was all sorts of academics that agreed in kind of the area that we're at right now. But one of the guys that interested me was Bill Niskanen, who at the time was one of the heads of the Cato Institute. And when it came to infrastructure, he used the Gini coefficient, which is a economic statistic that we use to look at inequalities. And he said that if we look at building roads and use the Gini coefficient, that the government is the one that should build roads and basic infrastructure. So as far as Biden's plan is concerned on building roads and basic infrastructure, I would say that Bill Niskanen is one of the top libertarians. He thinks that the government is the right way to go with that. I'm going to side with Bill Niskanen. If we look at the rest of Biden's plan, I don't believe that should actually be called infrastructure and should go into a different bill.
Oh, interesting. It is not the response that I expected. That so you would support raising taxes on people who make over $400,000 a year and big corporations, or at least raising them back to where they were before Donald Trump came into office, to generate a couple of $1 trillion that could be used to. I'm assuming that, being a 21st century guy, that you would include broadband in that definition of infrastructure. I mean, it's the information highway, right? It's but basically, you're in favor of doing this. Do I have that right, Charles?
I don't agree with the way that Biden is setting up the taxes, and I actually don't agree with the broadband section. I think that we have a lot of history in our country of running some of these services to people where it's not economically beneficial for us to run these services, and for us having us as a country and the people in those areas having problems. Look, LBJ did it when he ran electricity to some places and kept people in places in Texas where they couldn't make money.
But no, FDR did the Rural Electrification Administration, and then I believe it was Eisenhower, it might have been Truman, did the Rural Telephony Administration, the REA and the RTA. And the whole point of both of them was that the so-called free market was not delivering electricity to people in rural areas because it was more expensive to get it out to them. And so the government stepped in to do that. Are you saying that we should just go back to abandoning people who live in rural areas?
I'm saying that by delivering them electricity, we kept people on farms that weren't producing instead of where they would have seen an incentive to move to a city and be productive. I think we drove a lot of people into poverty through that plan, and the statistics seem to go with me on that one.
Huh.
No,
Okay.
they ended up, most of them ended up losing their family farms because the farmland that they were on was untenable.
Okay,
They just lost it further down the road.
Now back to, got it. So back to this Biden expanded definition of infrastructure. You know, we started with broadband there. How is an educated populace not an intellectual infrastructure? We see, you know, the United States is now slipping behind other countries in terms of original patents. You know, it is our intellectual infrastructure, or certainly it was our intellectual infrastructure throughout the, you know, from roughly the 1920s when, you know, free public school became common all across the United States. It really only started in the 1890s. And so from the 1920s until the 1980s, when we had the very best public schools in the world, we also led the world in science and technology and innovation, all those other things. How could you not consider that? I mean, it's openly, clearly considered infrastructure by every other developed country in the world, this intellectual infrastructure, the right to have an education, including a college education. Why would you not consider that infrastructure?
Well, first off, President Biden and even you, I believe last week, supported giving our intellectual property away to other countries. So the left definitely isn't on board with that.
Neither of those statements are true, Charles.
Well, you supported giving our intellectual property for the vaccines away to other countries.
No,
and
that's not true.
By your own definition, giving away our infrastructure.
The WTO TRIPS waiver pays, in this case, let's say it was AstraZeneca, that is going to be manufactured on a what's the word, generic basis, say in India, for example. That company that manufactures it in India has to pay 7% of their revenue back to AstraZeneca, plus a percentage that covers some profits. So they're going to have a reduced profit, but it's not a giveaway.
You did make that. First off, I will lay the groundwork. You've never led me astray when you've laid the groundwork for an argument, and that was a part of your groundwork last week. I went along with it. When we got off the call, I tried to research it. That 7% is written down nowhere. This TRIPS waiver currently isn't written anywhere. I haven't been able to find that 7%. But even at 7%, that's
go to tradewatch.org, Charles. You'll find it.
All right, I'll look it up for you, or I'll look it up for myself.
We're pretty much out of time. The last 10 seconds, why we shouldn't pay for college?
Look, college is good. It can be privately funded.
Okay, all righty. Charles Sauer, libertarian economist, president of the Market Institute, marketinstitute.org. His book, Profit Motive, What Drives the Things We Do. You can tweet him at Charles Sauer. Charles, thanks for dropping by. It's always good talking with you.
Thank you.